Welcome everybody to this webinar on Fast Fix for empowering citizen developers. A little bit of housekeeping at the beginning. We are recording this session. That doesn't mean we don't want to hear back from you. I think everybody is on mute because it is in town hall, but you should have the chat option and you should be able to write something in there. So if you do have any questions, please just type it into the chat and we'll try and get to it. Because we've only got 45 minutes, if it looks like we don't have time to answer that question, we may want to take the questions offline and answer afterwards. When you type into the chat, I think it comes up as anonymous. So if you do think it's something that maybe we won't have time for and you want us to follow up with you, then if you don't want to put your name, just put your initials and we'll figure out who it is from there, because we have a list of everybody who's registered, but even we can't see who types into the chat when it's anonymous. So for those of you that don't know me, my name's David Nelson and I'm the CEO at Adsotech. And I'm joined today by my colleague Marco Rantala, who will be doing the session, the demo later. And he's going to be helping more with the technical side. Any technical questions that come up, he'll be helping out with that. Though for those of you that don't know Adsotech, we are a Finnish-based software reseller and services. We've been around for 40 years now, so quite a long time for a niche company like we are. We have over 100 customers in Scandinavia and the Nordics and the Baltics. And our focus is on SAP data quality and data automation. So it's nice to see that we've got a few of our customers online today. So I know a few of you, but for those of you that we don't know, welcome. And I'm going to spend just a moment talking about data quality importance. So I'm not going to spend a long time talking about this because my assumption is that everybody knows data quality is important. So let me take my stuff there so we can focus on the screen. So a little quote from Gartner saying that, data quality costs organizations approximately $12.9 million a year on average. Data quality is often referred to, data quality is the new oil or things like that. And it really does affect your day-to-day operations. It's a very important aspect, but these days we're also talking about data quality a lot because there's a lot of data transformations going on, especially when we're talking to our SAP customers with the S4HANA projects and so on. There's also a lot of AI initiatives coming up. And anybody who wants to do anything with AI, you have to get your data quality correct in the first place. Otherwise, it's just going to give you garbage, as they say, garbage in, garbage out. So what I'm trying to say, we all know this. I think data quality is the backbone of your daily operations and the data transformations and S4HANA projects and things that you are doing. But the real question isn't why data quality matters. I think we all understand that, but it's why it's still so hard to manage and what can you do about it. So a quick first poll question. I think Victoria is going to try and add this into the chat, but I'm not sure if it's going to work or not. But if maybe you could just answer in the chat, how often do SAP data quality issues impact your daily work? Is it on a daily basis? Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Is it rarely or not at all? So I'm not going to wait for the answers now. You can just answer that in your own time and we'll get back to that later. But it'd just be interesting to sort of see the differences with the companies and the people that we have online today. So yeah, getting back to why data quality is so hard to manage. One of the core reasons is down to SAP complexity. So as you know, okay, here it's talking about the big four: materials, vendors, customers, finance. I guess we call them the big three nowadays: materials, business partners, and finance. But these are just the tip of the iceberg. So underneath, you have lots of things like storage types, locations, BOMs, and things like that. and one record can have hundreds of fields. So this it's a really complex landscape, as I'm sure you all know. But the complexity goes just beyond that data model. So it's not just the data structure. So there's the processes and the organization. So with the processes, there's often multiple parties involved. Maybe you've got different people who need to approve it. You need to enrich the data from different data sources. Maybe it's from Salesforce or your PIM or PLM or external data sources, whatever. And all of these are connected. So any data errors that you see somewhere, in one of these data sets has a ripple effect, and it affects data in other parts of the process and other different business units. And also talking about the other business units, in the organization, different business units will have different priorities. So it may be that the same field or the same data is used by more than one business unit. This is often the case, but to some, the field will be really, really important, and to some, it's not important at all, and gets sort of missed out. And that can lead to a lot of data issues or data quality issues as well. Okay, so we talked in the title, it talks about citizen developers. So what are citizen developers and why are they important? So citizen developers are basically business users, but with a little bit more technical knowledge or technical, I would say, maybe willpower to do that. So quite often when we talk about SAP complexity, the sort of natural assumption is that it's going to sit with IT. But actually what we're seeing is the opposite trend, and that there is a reason for that. So why are we seeing this rise of citizen developers or business users that are capable of doing that? One of the first things we see is that there's a rise in low-code, no-code platforms. And I would even go as far as to say it's even more low-code than no-code nowadays. And the reason for that is we see ChatGPT and Copilot and things like that exist. So it's easier in these low-code platforms for business users to be able to do a little bit of coding themselves. So we even see this in Excel complexity, for example. So you can see in our customers nowadays, there's an increased complexity in the formulas and the in Excel that they are using when they are massaging the data. But more importantly than that, at least from my side, is the ownership. And this is something it's a bit of a bugbear of mine. It's something that you can see this is linked in blue because there's a link behind this to a blog post I posted recently about ownership, because it is something that I see, and we have conversations about this on a regular basis. So it feels like it's an important topic for me. So what we see is that quite often our customers are telling us that business own the data. They are accountable and they're responsible for that data, and expected to be accountable and responsible for that data. And we hear often from maybe data owners or process owners saying that the business don't care about the data, and they still see it as an IT issue. But part of the reason for that is every time you need to make a change to the data, if you have to go to IT to find the issues, and you have to go to IT then to fix the data, and even small changes to processes. If you have to go to IT every time you need to do something like that, any changes to the data, really, it becomes an IT problem as far as the business are concerned. That's what it feels like. It's an IT problem, even though that data on paper have ownership of the data. That's not always the case. And the other thing is understanding context. So understanding context, if I just explain what I mean by that here. So the context is obviously, it's really important for data quality. And the reason why business users or citizen developers need to be involved in these sorts of data quality tasks is because it's the business users that feel the issues first, because it impacts their daily work. So, for example, if you've got an example of plant maintenance, and you've got an equipment that has no maintenance plan assigned to it, well, that leads to downtime. It might lead to failure in the machines. It leads to a lot of problems, and it's business that can feel that data. And when they get something like that, they quite rightly ask, okay, well, why is it missing equipment, but also, very importantly, what other equipments are missing a maintenance plan, and how many of our assets are affected by that. Where are they? How do I fix it? Things like that. And business users. So it's very important that business users are able to find the data themselves. Once they've hit that problem, it should be made very easy and quick for them to go and find out where the other data is affected. And then also with regards to context, it's important that the business users or citizen developers can also define what the data should be. So they understand what the business rules are, why that field matters, and how or what the business impact would be. And then being able to fix them data themselves, this is what I spoke about earlier, reinforces that ownership. And it also gives you faster fixes, faster resolutions. So quite often, if you need a data fix and it has to be done by IT, we've got a good example of this from one of our customers in Denmark a few years ago, who was telling us that when they had some data issues, they went to IT. IT told them it would be a couple of months. Came back after a couple of months with an LSMW record to fix it, but the LSMW record wasn't quite fixing the correct data, and it took them months and to go back and forth. And I'm sure you've all felt this before, where there's a lot of back and forth via emails to just fix some data which would have been easy if you had the tools to go in and fix yourselves. So that's it releases that IT dependency, and that's an important part to remember. Okay, so another poll question now. I'm not sure if there were any answers to the last one, or at least I can't see them at the moment, but maybe we're getting them all later. Quick poll here regarding what I've just been talking about. So when SAP data needs fixing, who usually has to take the action? So is it business users themselves? Is it that business users identify it and IT fixes it? Is it mostly down to IT to identify it and fix it, or is it unclear and dependent? So it'd be good to hear your feedback on that. Okay, moving quickly on so we can get towards the demo, because I think that's the most valuable part here. But I just want to explain what Fast Fix is, what we're talking about. So we understand now why data quality is an issue, and some of the main points that you should take into consideration when trying to fix it. So what exactly is Fast Fix and how does it help? So just to be clear, Fast Fix is not a product. It's more of a concept built from different products. So the two products in question are precisely Data 360 and precisely Automate Studio. And in the middle, you have these data checks, which are Adsotech pre-built ready-made data flows. So we have some customers already using precisely Data 360 and Automate Studio. So precisely Data 360 simply, in a simple way, I'll explain it a little bit more, but takes the data out and transforms it. Automate Studio used for loading it back in. We have a case study on our website from Store Enso that you can take a look at. It's a plant maintenance case where the user is using Data 360 and Automate Studio together to correct some data issues they were having. But just this middle part, this data checks, Adsotech pre-built data checks. So what are they? They are simply some data flows that are in Data 360 that we have built that answer questions like, is something missing, or is a field filled incorrectly, or is something inconsistent compared to the similar data that exists in SAP? So these are built around conversations we've had with our customers. So I thank you if you've been answering questions about that. And so we've tried to do that, but also they are pre-built, but they are made so that we can easily make changes to them and more gear it towards your exact needs. Also, with this, you will be able to open them up and make changes yourself as well. So that's what that is. You can modify them yourself. You can build your own, or you can order them from Adsotech. But why is it a fast fix? The idea is from day one, you're supposed to be getting value out of it. You're supposed to be able to find the data, find what the data should be, and correct the data. So how does it work? Very quickly, you can see that on the left-hand side here, we have raw data sources coming in. So typically from SAP, but it could also be coming from, like I said earlier, Salesforce, your PIM, PLM, whatever. Maybe you've got the data in Excels. Maybe it's coming from a customer or a vendor in Excels, and you want to just compare the data. It goes into the core engine here, which is Data 360, and then it harmonizes. Data 360 would harmonize the data, standardize it, identify the gaps, and give us some rules. And it gives us an Excel output, which then goes into, uses Automate Studio to load the data up to SAP. So very quickly, more for those of you that haven't seen Data 360, I'm just going to give you an overview of what it looks like. Marco will show the actual tool anyway, but I want to simplify it for everyone and just explain the different sort of component parts. So you can see in the middle, we've got this data flow running from left to right, and it's coming from SAP. It's running through, so these are the pre-made data checks that I'm talking about. This one is just called Fast Fix. And then on the right, you have an Excel output. This is sort of the canvas where you create your data flows. On the left-hand side, we have the nodes, and these are input nodes, transformation nodes, and output nodes. You can see I've only got mine to favorites. There are a lot more options than we can see here, but you simply drag and drop these nodes onto your canvas and you build a data flow. You want the data flow to run from SAP, what you want it to do, and then have an output. On the right-hand side, you can see an area where you can configure what you want the nodes to do. And then at the bottom, you can see the data that's either going into the node or out of the node, depending on what you want to see. So that's a really quick and high-level overview of what Data 360 looks like. And I'm aware most of you on the call are existing Automate Studio users, but there are some that are not. So I just wanted to spend 30 seconds explaining that. So Automate Studio is a tool that is used to take data to and from SAP using Excel. And this part you can see here is the Excel add-in. So this is what the runner would see after a developer has developed the script. I'm not going to go into that today. If you want to find out more about that, we have videos on our website, or you can contact us and we can just arrange a demo. But just to quickly sort of give an overview, this is an Excel. You can see that I've cut most of it off, but you have a Studio add-in at the top. Here you would go in, log into SAP using your own credentials, choose the script which would be embedded into this Excel, and then you would make the mass change in SAP. Okay, so last slide, I think, before the demo. As I spoke about earlier, it's really important that the business users are able to find the data and sort of quickly identify what is missing, what is inconsistent, what is incorrect data. And that's what we're going to be showing today. They also should be able to define what the data should be. So this is a tricky part for a lot of teams. They know there is data in SAP which is bad, but they don't exactly know what it should be. This is a quick screenshot of something that Marco will show shortly, but you can see that there's on the count log here on this first column, there's around 2,000 different records. And these records are, of the 2,000, 1,794 times the distribution channel is 10, the material statistics group is 1, the material pricing group is 0, 1, and the account assignment group is 0, 1. So for example, you can see, you can be pretty sure that's like 90, I don't know, 95%, 99% maybe, of the times where the distribution channel is 10, the material statistics group is 1, the material price group is 0, 1. So you can make an assumption that this is going to be correct. Obviously, this is business users using it, so they know when there's exceptions. But you can use that to define your rules when you are editing the data and correcting the data. And finally, being able to fix the data and load the data into SAP. As I said, we use Automate Studio to safely cleanse and correct the SAP data to do that. Okay, I am going to hand over to Marco now to show us the demo.
So hello from my part as well. I'm Marco and I'm going to show you what David discussed about in concretical terms, what it is. First, a few kind of thoughts. What is it that you're going to see? We are, like David mentioned, we are bringing together tooling to provide kind of enhanced capabilities. Our bread and butter is reading from SAP, writing to SAP, but there are certain kind of limitations there where we think that can lead to many manual steps. We have been missing the tooling to analyze the data, for example, see these rules and the patterns in the data. So we've been able to do it before, but that has led to many different Excel files, and that's always not a good thing when you kind of analyzing the data. You're not sure what you want to do. You don't want to create excess number of Excel files. And we are here exposing, I would say, we are exposing the SAP data layer in a new way. Also in a way that gives user the control. So we know that there are solutions like Power BI where you can see yesterday's data or any kind of these kind of warehouses in the cloud. But our solution is such that you can refresh the data anytime you want. So that's kind of one of the things. It gives the control to the user. It gives control over the refresh. And also one thing that I want you to think is that we do not generally have any restrictions on the data. So you don't need to do a modification request for a Power BI dataset, for example. You can study it yourself. So that's the kind of idea here. So as mentioned, I will show you an Excel now. So we are providing some enhanced capabilities, what we've been doing for many years, which is doing simple reads from SAP and then writing the data back. So what we call is a fast fix. And here in this case, what we're going to go through today, we are going to go through material management. We call it sales views. That's the data we are interested. And this fast fix is available also for different modules where we have some, we call it data points, which could be single field or a more complicated rules, which I will show you how to build extended rule today also. So you get the feeling of how it works, and this wouldn't be possible with this amount of automation without the data layer, which is the Data 360 Analyze, which is running all the time in the background, providing us the data and updating the data sets. So what we have here, we have an Excel file that's created from the scratch. So every time I run the fast fix, I get this one. It's a very poshy Excel. It's meant to show you what kind of capabilities we have brought here because we think they are useful. So let's go through the material management sales views. On the left side here, you can see basic general information. So we are basically taking certain material types. These are SAP filters, material groups, sales organizations. We get a number of records as a response. 2004 is because we don't really use SAP that much. So we have very little records, but typically customers have way larger data sets. What we are really getting with these filters, if we go on the right side here, we have missing fields. These are actually data points. They could be missing fields or they could be much more complex. And I think the complex is typically, in most parts, the SAP way. So you need to have good flexibility here. And we do have that. So we are tracking here. At the moment, I'm showing you 5 missing fields, data points here. So this is analysis of the data that we read from SAP with these filters. And the health score is something that we like to bring also here as a it's more of the proactive and data governance side of things. If you have data quality initiatives or something, so typically we might first have like a Power BI. So this is like, this could go to Power BI, this health score. So it could be a dashboard, part of dashboard. And then the later would come data governance elements to that to really govern the data. But the why it's included here is because this is a compliant way of doing things with Data 360, that you can actually use it for putting this data to Power BI as well, if that's your choice, where you want to see this. One thing that we also added here is that we can actually draw trend lines on any of these data points. So what it means that over time, every time we run this fast fix, which I'm going to show you soon where it's run, it draws you the trend line. And why we added this feature here? Because most of the data sets that inspect the data, like Power BI web data sets, they are updated nightly. But the thing is here that when I run this one, I get the current situation. So I can run it in the morning, I can run it in the afternoon, I can see the progress here. And that's the kind of idea we thought would be necessary or useful in some cases. And in the end, the data is read here, and the idea is that we fix it. So we have, like David showed here, in the last part, we have mapped this one to Studio transaction, which is then we can validate it and we can post it to SAP from the Excel without going to the GUI. Those that don't know, so the Excel automation is that we can post these records using this transaction script to SAP without going to GUI, and it will also validate the fields here, so we can correct the errors here. So that's the idea. With Fast Fix, we give you one to start. The rest of those, our guess is that you might want to use your own scripts as well. But yeah, it's good to give one there to show you how it's done, so you maybe modify and makes everything easier. So this is where we post the changes to SAP. And like I said, there's a data flow, there's a data layer, SAP data layer running behind. So we get there by clicking here. Opens the, let's do a switch here. So when I click the data layer open, this is how Fast Fix looks like if you're going to just, a runner user is going to use it. So it's actually very elementary. The Excel file you saw here, you choose an Excel file. I'm going to choose the same one because we are going to modify it a little bit so you see it in action, really. And every time you want to run the Fast Fix, you just rerun here and it updates everything. It's a fresh copy. You get the new trend line, you get the new missing field values from SAP. You can have multiple Fast Fix. That's no big problem, as many as you want. So let's see. Just a second, I'm organizing windows here. Okay, so I'm going to show you what the Fast Fix looks like. because we were talking about we ship certain data points that I think are important. For example, this is sales orders processing. If you're missing delivery plan, that's important, brings problems. But we also know from the fact that each SAP user has their own requirements. So I'm going to show you how it actually looks like. I have reduced this for demo purposes for 3 data points, but the principle is very well illustrated here. So what we actually do here, it's a very simple process here. First, we define the SAP filters. And here, the key point takeaway is that we have very little limitations, I would say almost no limitations of filtering from SAP. So here we are using the material type, the material group, and the sales organization. But you could create any set of filters here. And if I look at the filters here, so you can basically combine any number of filters, any fields from SAP. So that's kind of how you would create your own filters. The next stage is extracting data from SAP. That's pretty much one click. So you rerun, you get a new fresh SAP data here in this data canvas. And there's a query behind. I think it's like 3-4 tables at the moment to show you the principle, how it's done. I show it a little bit later because we are going to first create something new here. And basically the idea is that we built you something here that is very easy for you to modify, and then you can use it straight away, but you can also modify it according to specifications or whatever you want to then track. And the next part is data points. And this is the key point here. So you can have any number of data points. If you want the new data point, you can simply copy, paste new data point, and you can have any number. You can extend the solution the way you want. And then in the last part, we are writing to Excel. That's quite trivial. But okay, let's see about the data point we have here. So I opened the data point 1, missing delivering plant, which is a field in SAP. You don't have to worry about the right side here. What we are really interested here is the rules. So it's a very simple example for purpose, so everybody understands it. So this is very simple rule. We have SAP data coming in, and we take only the empty records. So those materials that don't have delivering plant defined for sales organization 1010, we are taking those materials out of it. And that's the 86 you saw in the Excel. However, as per se, we kind of realize very well that the SAP is not typically a one field problem. Is more of a problem of a combination of fields. And we take the delivering plant here, and we run a node called histogram. We can see that now we get kind of the 86. We know that 86 records out of the 2004, they are null, and 1,918 records have the delivering plant 1010. They would seem to be okay, but quite typically there's more into the story. So let's add a little bit like more fields there. And as you can see, we made it so that you can just type it and it guesses the result, so you don't have to know the field names. You can just type it in clear text here. So if we add one more field there, which is the general item category group, I would say that's pretty important group in SAP. We get a new situation where it seems that there's more difficulties, maybe if you put it this way, in the data or problems. And when we add something, I think is very important. If you think about sales orders, this was the sales extensions of material, sales material master data. We call it sales views here. So if we add a third field, and this could go on and on, it just gets bigger, the matrix. So here we can actually see it quite well. So let's keep it like this. First, the standard rules on top of here, they will only tracking these rows here. So we would be handling those where the delivering plant is not defined, which could be a problem. And you can see that these are kind of outlier values. We still know that 90% of the materials have these fields defined as here. So these are kind of random. We want to check those, and those were in the first Excel. But now we also see that, okay, there's another problem. So we have a 1010, but we are missing the material price group. Again, could lead to problems with sales orders, a little bit different problems in different parts of the process. But we also want to catch those ones. So we are how to modify the data point then. I take the existing rule and I copy a new version of it here. New rules, name it new rules, connect the data, and then I can disable the old one so it doesn't get in the way. So here we can define a new rule, which is more comprehensive. So I'm adding a new criteria here. Now let's arrange everything so everybody sees everything. And we have a very good capability of defining very complex rules here. And by that, I mean that it's very hard to, for example, creating some of these fast fixes we have. We join rows. So it's hard to create, for example, query or take a report from SAP that combines these rules. So here we are able to do that without doing multiple reports or trying to handle with multiple data sources. So if I create here another rule, material price group, and then I make from the data, I'm tracking these ones. And I also want to check the ones where the delivery plant is correct, but the material price group is not 0 or 1. So it's a little bit different rule. It's kind of includes all the values. And I see that there's a 0, 2, 1 record. One material has this 0, 2. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. We have to check it out. So I can create the rule of a combination of two rules. And when I run it, let's see if everything is correct now. Yep. So now I'm actually handling all these cases, these outliers, let's put it that way in the data. So I have extended the rule, and you can go on and create much more complex rules. But let's connect it to data, to Excel, where we put it, and to show you how kind of practically how would you do this. So that's it. And then I go and save this solution. Here, how do we, those that know the Studio transaction, we are going to put it also with the Studio transaction. So what we have built here, that when you have a template there, we can use the template here, choose the template, and it will automatically map the results so that they are, the fields are in the right order as you have them in Studio transaction. That's kind of nice. You don't have to spend time remapping anything. Because when we read the data from SAP, we quite often read more data fields than we, for the analysis purposes, than we actually have in transaction. So we implemented that one there as well. And now it's done. So just to show you here, the SAP dataset becomes the Studio transaction dataset. And from here, let's go and see what the Excel looks like. So we have now updated it. So here, this is the same Excel. I didn't create a new one. I just ran the new data, so you can see that we have, this one is no longer, it's our custom data point now, but we have 122 records here. And the rest of the thing kind of that concludes the business is that we should then go here and we should correct the data. For example, we see that the material price group is missing here. So just show you an example here how it works in our tooling. Those that maybe are not familiar here with the transaction module. So I'm logging into SAP here with my credentials. And then I'm opening the script, which knows how to put this one in the SAP. And there's a validation. If I write here something stupid like a car, which is probably not going to validate as a material price group, I can simulate the first 5 transactions. And I can see that the SAP doesn't allow the value to be written so it validates the field like you would be in SAP GUI. But if I write 01, which I know that should be okay, and run the simulation here, it goes okay. So this is the idea. You can build these data points here with very good rules. You can analyze the data with any kind of criteria that you need. And you can create a lot of sheets in a one run. If you have transaction here, you could create any number of sheets that fit into Excel and create any kind of rules, no matter how complex the rules are in this data layer. And that's kind of the idea with here, why we need this product, because we've seen customers do very complex things, and simply reading data, if it's a report or if it's a query product that we have that reads a single Excel, we can't really do this, create the automation there. We would need multiple Excels or multiple reports and combine the data via lookups. And here we can avoid the lookups. It's a single process. Yeah, so that's kind of what the Fast Fix is. And like I said, it's 4 different modules with quite different topics. Like for plant maintenance, we're focusing more on maintenance planning, scheduling parameters, etc. Open sales orders, we are focusing on deliveries, and then we have something for business partner, which has missing fields, addresses, and also cross-checking against other systems or list of data. So this is just a kind of demo version of it, kind of a little bit simplified version of it, but that's how the Fast Fix looks like. And I think I'll hand back to you, David, if you want to say something in the end.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Marco. I'll just also share my screen quickly. Yeah, and just to follow up, we only have a minute left, but just to give you a little bit of direction on what could be your potential next steps. If you're interested in that, if you're not sure how many delivering plants you have which are empty in SAP, and your material price groups, you're not sure how many you have which are 01 when they should be 1 or whatever else, or I think you get the idea. If you have these sort of issues, then contact us, and what we normally do is set it up as a Fast Fix pilot, which is a 28-day proof of concept or pilot, where we set it up with you from day one. So you can get value from day one, and you get a Data 360 license and an Automate Studio license, so you can play around with. But just to give a final thought, after the Fast Fix pilot and after you are live and up and running, and you have this system in place to fix your data, we quite often see that problems do keep coming back. Once you clean the data, you have to clean it again next year or within a month or whatever else it is. And without rules and automation and governance and things like that in place, the same data issues resurface again. And if that is the case for you, then we do see Fast Fix as just the first step of the journey. And we do have lots of other solutions which can help you along that journey. So each customer will have a different route to take, but the point is that if we, once we start with these quick wins, it's a great way to start, because you feel as if you are moving somewhere and you're getting somewhere, and you can see the improvements. But you can follow that up with using the rule identification to help you build automation and workflows. And we have those automation and workflow platforms with the Studio products, with Evolve. But we also have tools for data enrichment and data observability, and we have a data catalog and data governance platform. So we can sort of help you at every step of the way. But really, we just see the Fast Fix as a good start to get you up and running and get some momentum. And it always feels good to get that good start. So if you have any questions, or if you want a personalized demo, or you want to discuss something a bit further, then please feel free to reach out to us, and we will get back to you and arrange whatever we can. So good luck on your data journey. Thank you all for taking the time for this session, and hopefully speak to you again in the future. Thank you.